London, 1888. A city alive with industry, but dying in its shadows. The East End, Whitechapel in particular, was a place where poverty had teeth. Streets swarmed with the homeless, the desperate, and women who sold themselves for pennies to survive. Among the gas lamps and the choking fog, a predator walked. No one saw his face. No one heard his footsteps. But his presence lingered like a stain, turning every dark corner into a place of terror. Mary Ann Nichols was found first, her lifeless body on Bucks Row. The police muttered that the robbery went wrong, but those who knew Whitechapel whispered, this was no thief. The wound spoke of something colder, something deliberate. A week later, Annie Chapman's body was discovered, her throat cut, her body left in a courtyard as if discarded. The whispers grew louder. Fear began to creep under doors and into the hearts of women who walked the streets for survival. The newspapers seized the story, branding him Jack the Ripper. The name stuck like soot on stone. Each morning, people opened their papers with trembling hands, half hoping, half dreading the next murder. Then came the double event, 2 women killed on the same night. The brutality was escalating. The Ripper was no ghost. He was a man who lived among them. He bought bread from the same stalls, brushed shoulders with workers in the alleyways, and disappeared into the crowd like anyone else. That thought haunted everyone. Inspector Frederick Aberline worked the case with growing despair. He walked those narrow lanes at midnight, listening to the shuffle of boots on cobblestones, the distant echo of horse hooves, and the laughter of drunkards. He wanted to believe the killer would slip up, but the Ripper was always one step ahead, leaving behind women's bodies as his only signature. What tortured Aberline most wasn't just the horror of the murders, but the faces of the women before they died. Mary, Annie, Elizabeth, Catherine, Mary Jane, they were not nameless vagrants, not just shadows in the fog. They had stories, families, and small dreams that poverty had stolen long before the knife touched their skin. The city erupted in paranoia. Men were dragged into police stations for questioning merely for carrying knives or walking alone at night. Vigilante groups prowled the streets, their torches flickering in the mist. Yet the killer vanished each time, as though swallowed by the East End itself. Then, one bitter November night, the murders stopped. Just as suddenly as they had begun. Whitechapel was left with silence, but it was not peace. It was the silence of a wound that never healed. Years later, Aberline, older, weary, sat in his small home, staring at the stack of unsolved reports. Jack the Ripper had become legend, but to him, it was failure. The man had walked freely in Whitechapel's alleys, breathing the same air, perhaps even brushing past him. The twist of fate was cruel. The most infamous murderer in London's history had never been caught, and perhaps never even truly hunted for the thrill of it. Maybe he was a doctor, maybe a butcher, maybe just a man no one suspected, someone who had long since blended back into the ordinary crowd. What remained was not his name, nor his face, but the echo of fear he carved into a city. And the memory of women who had been left behind, forgotten in the fog of Whitechapel. For more crime stories, subscribe to The Crime Report. Thank you.